Welcome to the About That Wallet podcast show number 32, Humble Beginnings with Rome. In this episode, a lot was talked about with Rome. We actually got through seeing how it is to have a dream and to see that dream be so far in reach to not be achieved, and actually understand his passion to not give up on his dream, but also to not give up on his family, and to understand how the importance of understanding where you come from does not determine on where you're going to end up, because you can set your goals as far as you want to. You just have to be specific on what you want and how you want to achieve it. And this is one of the stories that Rome has shared with us today. And I cannot thank him enough for taking the time out to do that. He has so much passion for what he does, who he is as a man, as a husband, as a father. So let's dive into this. I don't want to hold you up any further. Again, for those of you who are new to the show, I want to thank you, as this show is about understanding how people actually navigate life and understanding what are those issues and those strategies for the people that are stuck. These are my episodes are actually set up to find or give you other tools through other people's experience on how to get out of the situation that you're in, or if there is something that you're interested in, how to start it and actually flourish when you decide to take that first step into this new realm in your life. So again, I want to thank you. Please subscribe and continue to share with your friends and family. I do appreciate it all, and I do love the feedback. So if you do have a moment, please leave a comment at the end of the show, um, either on whatever podcast platform you're listening to. All right, so let's get to it. Welcome to the About That Wallet podcast show. How you doing today, Ron?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing all right. What about you?
Doing pretty good, sir. It's a lovely Sunday right now.
Yep.
Weather's still cold and chilly. I actually did a bike ride yesterday.
Did you in this weather, bro?
Man, my
No
toes were
way.
cold, fingers were cold, everything.
Not
Um,
having it.
but when you have people out there in the realm, it's a lot easier to get out there and put the clothes on and just muscle through. Versus if it was by myself, nah, I wouldn't be doing it.
Listen, man, more power to you, bro. As soon as it gets under 40, I'm miserable. So
uh,
not having it.
yeah. So the main reason why, actually, I think you and I, we talked about coming onto the show today to talk about your life journey. And I think that would be interesting to kind of go through to see what you've been through growing up and what led you to where you are today, even through your mindset, because, us as adolescents, we didn't really, take things seriously that we hear from our parents and, all our uncles or whoever the adults were around that time. It's like, yeah, y'all just doing your thing. So what was it? So can you just tell me a little bit about your money history and the type of conversations that you guys had growing up, you and your parents?
Sure. I mean, to understand the person and to understand my money history, you would probably have to understand a little bit more about me with regard to where I'm from, what I've been through.
Mm,
So I currently live, of course, in the United States. I was born and raised in Jamaica, St. Andrew. It's that city right next to Kingston that no one knows about. It's the New Jersey of Jamaica, right? And I came up in humble beginnings. So when you say, "Hey, Rome, what money conversations did you have growing up with your parents?" It was, "I don't have any money. We got to figure this out." That's the kind of money conversations we had.
mm,
I had my situation growing up was I would take the evening shift at school so that my brother could take the morning shift. That way I could have his shoe to wear to school when he gets home.
mm,
Humble beginnings. it was a situation of making sure that, you were on the program at school to get lunch. There were plenty of times when parents couldn't find lunch money to send us to school, but we still fought through it. Thank God for my grandmother. She never made us go hungry. And you grew up in the Caribbean, there's always somewhere for you to go get food. And, it's most of our food are natural, whether it's going down to the woods and digging some yams up, so humble beginnings, definitely. And some of the things that's made me into who I am are the things, my experiences that brought around my money decisions that I make today are obviously my experiences growing up in Jamaica. I was always into sports, track and field, mostly soccer, which brought me to the United States on a scholarship for undergrad. I did my undergrad at Coppin State University, went over to Morgan State, did my master's at Morgan State. And one of the first lessons that I learned when I got to Coppin was from an English teacher. And this was my first lesson in economics. And he said, and I'll never forget, your credit is what makes you into a man. And I asked him what he meant by that. And he was like, you will get nothing in this country without having good credit. Granted, this was my first time in this country. I had known no one. I was 20 something years old, and I had to take those hard lessons. He said, once you're able to get yourself a credit card and use that one credit card, buy one thing every month, pay it off every month, and watch your credit skyrocket. You stay up with your bills and you'll be perfectly okay in this country. And I've used that lesson every day since I've been here in 2010. Since I've been here, I'm married, I have a child, 2 degrees, 4 or 5 jobs, and now I'm settled in my career, which is absolutely awesome. And I am now beginning to see the fruits of my labor over the years. And so my money decisions are based on my past, right? I use my history or my experiences to guide my decisions. I'm not the one who's going to go out there and be gallivanting and buying everything that I see, you know?
Yeah.
So it's all about me putting the groundwork in, setting myself up, setting my family up for a future. So that's what guides my money decisions.
Yeah, because I mean, I know you said humble beginnings, but when you said that you did the morning shift, so your brother did the evening shift, is that how school was over there, where you can do different shifts like that?
Not necessarily, not in all schools.
Okay.
My school, that was an option. And the reason why we took that option was because it's not because I wanted to go in the evenings, but because me and my brother shared one pair of shoe at a time. And so instead of me walking to school barefooted, they just waited until he got back home. His foot was always bigger than mine, obviously. So we had this thing where we would take newspapers and stuff it at the top of the shoe. If you speak to any Jamaican that grew up in those days, they will tell you, you put some newspapers in the top of the shoe and stuff your foot in there, and it fits perfectly. You go to school.
Wow.
Those were the days.
Yeah. Talk about some humble beginnings.
Yeah.
So, so were your parents? Because I know you say you mentioned your grandparent. So were your parents mainly in the picture, or how was that?
My mom worked as a psychiatric aid nurse. Fun fact, she used to say, she had 5 of us. She used to say she had more trouble at home than she did with the crazy people at work. But no, my mom worked as a psychiatric aid nurse, so she wasn't always there. She was, about anything in the medical field, they're always on the job. My grandmother was a caretaker of our family. She took care of all 5 of us while we were there. So my fondest memories would come from my grandmother in terms of being a child and being cared for. My dad and my mom were never together. I think I was a product of a good night. But we were all in the same community. I had a stepfather who, in hindsight, was absolutely brilliant in terms of moving our family from the level that we were to a higher level in terms of comfortability, where we live or living environment, stuff like that. He was essential. At first, I didn't like him, obviously,
Right.
but as a grown man now, looking back, I could tell that what he did was essential in our family, surviving those times. My dad always tried. He was someone that did odd jobs in the community, always encouraged me to do well. But I think I said my mom wasn't there at much, but she was a backbone in me getting to where I am today. She never discouraged me from going to the track meets, trying out for different soccer teams. The biggest thing in Jamaica is that you have to fund anything that you do. So if your school is taking you to a track meet across the country, you have to make sure you give your kid money to do so. They had, but getting me a pair of spikes so I could run in. Because there are a lot of times I was out there running against kids in spikes and I was barefooted, still competing.
Wow.
I remember there were times the night before the track meet, she would say she doesn't have the funds to give it to me. And I would go to bed crying. And the next morning she would be waking me up at 5 a.m. You got to get ready because I thought I got the money for you. So she would go to the lengths to make sure I did what I wanted to do. At the time, she didn't see it as an investment because her son was going to be the greatest. Her son was going to eventually run against Usain Bolt or, get a scholarship. She saw that as her giving me what I needed in order for me to be happy. And that's what made me happy at the time. And throughout all the discouraging, all the negative words I would get, or why are you doing this? You're not going to be any better than anyone else. She kept pushing and it brought me to where I am today. So she was definitely the backbone.
Nice. So what would you say to your mom right now when she actually listened to this episode?
Oh, why haven't? What would I say to her right now? I don't think I can put it in words. Um, Mom, it's time for you to sit back, take a breath, because what you have done for me and for my brothers and sisters merits what will be coming to you, and what we have, the work that we have done to make sure that you live a peaceful and long and lovely retirement, because that's the plan. It's going to make sure that it's time for her to relax and enjoy the fruits of her labor.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Jeez. Talk about dedication, to make sure you get everything for your children. Are you doing the same for your child now?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. From a very young age, I made a decision that I'm going to make sure that I put myself in a position to provide what my kid needs at a young age, stuff that I wasn't able to get. And it's not because of any fault of my parents that I wasn't able to get it. Circumstances allow that. It's not their fault I wasn't born, you know, in New York. But I do know that now that I have the opportunity, I can make sure that my son is set for the future. So, and that's not me buying him a Bentley, but that's me making sure that he can have a house when he graduates. He can have a car when he leaves high school. You know what I mean? He can
Yeah.
have his future set up. Me giving him every skill that I have, physically and mentally, so he can be prepared. I want to make sure that he sets himself nicely so he can go to school and do his 2 degrees, do all his degrees for free, like I did. So that's just me setting him up for the future.
Yeah, man. It's awesome that you didn't let the situation hold you down from where you really wanted to go, and that your mom saw beyond where she's currently at to take it to the next level, and that you actually took the platform that your parents had put in place for you to get you where you are today. So how is that now? I mean, I know you said that you started learning about the finances here in the States, but I actually think that, coming from a sports arena helps you out, carve your future, because it was, you already know that you've got to put in the work during practice. You have to win during practice in order for you to win in any match. Because I was wrestling, so I understand from training aspect. It's like it's a lot of training.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think the only thing that my mom got me during that time was the cleats. I mean, not really cleats.